Bag.
And I'm so excited, Kevin, because we have not only one, but two voice memos, and they are fantastic. So let's get started right now.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, my name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano.
And we're the host of the Locked On Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for making Locked On Rays your very first listen every day. And make sure you follow us on all podcasting platforms and subscribe to that YouTube channel of ours as well. Check out our Twitter and Instagram pages at Locked On Rays, and you can email us anytime. LockedOnRays@gmail.com. All right, let's dive right into these mailbag questions. This first one, Ty McCann, is that who we'll go with first on the voice
Ty
memo
McCann.
front?
Ty McCann's got made the line first. So without further ado, let's hear from our OG listener. Okay, OG listener, Ty McCann. Here we go.
Hey, gentlemen, it's Ty McCann from sunny New England, and hope you guys and your listeners are having a great day. I wanted to drop in with a quick mailbag question. It came to me because you guys are doing your player reviews, but I wonder what grade would you give first-year GM Peter Bendix on the season, take into account his offseason, the trade deadline, extensions, etc., and what you would say he should continue doing because it worked well versus maybe what he could improve upon. And, I know it's a small sample size, and Neander's still in the building. He's got great coaches. But I think he turned out pretty good. He had a good season. Just, in spite of the challenges, but when you make the postseason, that helps. And he's got a tough offseason ahead of him, so we'll see how the team comes out of that. But as always, I love the show. Thank you for joining me every day on my Raise to Work. I really appreciate it. Raise up.
Great question there from Ty. And Ty, love to hear from you as always. And sorry that you have to live in sunny New England. You could pay me enough. It would take quite a bit of money for me to live in New England. So you're a trooper in that regard.
Yeah, for sure. And I would like to say, Ty, whenever you are in town, let's go watch a ball game because we need to do that. Man, that's just a good question too. Ty always has just timely, good questions for us. Makes the show better. Pete Bendix review. Who would have ever thought about that, huh? Just to grade the GM, huh? Where do we start with Pete? I would think I'll go big picture, Kevin, with Bendix.
Okay.
Good on you for recognizing you needed some left-handed help and some veteran leadership in 2022 with a bunch of young players, and you got David Peralta. Now, regardless of what Peralta did and didn't do, you did what you needed to do, right, which is get a veteran in that clubhouse, get a lefty bat. That had been there, done that. Maybe the pop wasn't there, but all his numbers increased well with the Rays. So that was really good for Pete Bendix to know that that's what the team needed. Didn't end up working out that way, but just like in 2021, you needed Nelson Cruz in that lineup, and it helped elongate that lineup, become the thickest and best offensive juggernaut we've ever seen as Rays fans, and we'll see probably for a long time. Hopefully not, but that's usually how it goes. So I'll start with that one. That was a really good move, regardless of the outcome. That's what needed to happen, and Bendix recognized it and got it for a really good price. I mean, a young rookie league catcher, a 19-year-old. That's what the market dictated. That's what the Diamondbacks wanted for David Peralta, and it came about. I think that was terrific.
Right, and that catcher might turn out to be something. It wouldn't be the first time that the Rays have let catching prospects slip through their hands, slip through their fingers. So, yes, Bendix did his job in that regard, and I think, injuries are going to be a problem in a baseball season each and every year, but the amount of injuries on the offensive front and losing a big part of your core for most of the majority of the season and being able to bob and weave and navigate that, and how much of it is Peter Bendix, how much, I mean, it's all a collaboration at the end of the day, but as a, technically first year GM, going out and doing what you can when you have to, adding Yu Chang, adding Christian Bethencourt, going out earlier in the season or off season and getting diamond in the rough and Harold Ramirez, trading for Isaac Paredes, adding Corey Kluber. You also had a tough situation of, dealing with the difficulty of letting go of Brett Phillips and what that means for the clubhouse, the franchise, the roster, the fan base. Not an easy decision to make. If there's, some negatives to look at, and maybe not necessarily negatives, but maybe things that are learning experiences. Again, this is all part of a learning curve for him going forward, but maybe they jumped the gun a little bit on what to expect from Josh Lowe and Vidal Brujan. I mean, we all read the press clippings. Everybody was praising these guys as, God's gift to earth, and they just, at least maybe they're just not quite ready yet. So I think, overall, yeah, you can look at the record and in comparison to previous years, it's not what you want or bargain for as a Rays fan. But when you consider the circumstances and being able to find guys that, did what they had to do under his watch is pretty remarkable. Again, I go back to it. Yu Chang, what he did for a spell there. Harold Ramirez, what he did when he wasn't injured. I thought he did a really, really tremendous job in handling all of that. Yeah, it would have been great to go out and get another. You got your David Peralta. That you did what you did. You did what you had to do at the trade deadline. Maybe in the off season or before the start of the season, maybe okay, you strike out on Freddie Freeman. You got to go out and get some other veteran. But outside of that, I think that he had a really tough job, and I think he handled it pretty well.
Yu Chang was off waivers, man. I mean, that's as shrewd as it gets, and that was a really good move. I think the one move that we haven't spoken about yet, and I think could be his determining factor, would be Jose Siri. What is going to be? I mean, he got that not only as a Brett Phillips replacement, really from like a different side of the plate, but he is the center fielder of the future now. And we see the talent. The talent is there. It's palpable. What he can do with the glove, the speed is tremendous. He glides out there, man. I mean, he gives me Kevin Kiermaier 2014, 2015 vibes of just like anything is possible if it's just in the semblance zip code of Jose's ability to get. I mean, he is that special. Right. The only thing is, can you unlock that bat? Can you unlock it? He was pretty clutch with that home run against Shane Bieber in the playoffs. Very, very cool. I mean, it wasn't Peralta, even though he didn't get more than one at bat. But it wasn't Wander. It wasn't Randy. It wasn't Manny. Mm-hmm. It wasn't any of the guys that you would have thought. It was Jose Siri, and that was the deadline acquisition. So maybe that'll be his big first year move for the future was getting Jose Siri. So hopefully, and you touched on Paredes. Can they unlock his power? Can he be somebody that they can trust in the future? I mean, we'll see. But overall, I agree with you. The biggest negative was perhaps putting too many eggs on the Josh Lowe, Taylor Walls, Vidal Brujan basket of like, we're ready to let go of these other Joey Wendells and Austin Meadows because we've got these three guys ready to go, and they weren't ready to go, and which scares me because how much of a leash do those three guys have? Are they going to be traded? And if they're going to be traded, it's not going to be for a lot because they've lost some market value in MLB. So it's going to be very interesting. This hot stove should tell us a little bit more about how he operates, how his mind works, and it should be very interesting to follow, Ty.
Yeah, it's going to be a big offseason for him. You've got rumors swirling about what to do with Randy Arozarena. There's all the talk and the need to add an impact bat or two. What do you do about the free agents? Do you bring back Mike Zunino? How do you handle all of that? And let's remember, I mean, I'm glad you mentioned Jose Siri because that was a much more expensive ad than trading for David Peralta. They had to give up Seth Johnson, their number 6 prospect in the organization, and Jaden Murray, who had a lot of potential and could have been part of that next wave of, oh my gosh, we've never heard of, he wasn't on the prospect list. We never really heard of this guy before. He was a friend of the show. But that, okay, I could have seen Jaden Murray slip into a Rays uniform and do amazing things as a bullpen guy. So, I mean, if we're, did you? I'm sorry. Did you give Peter Bendix a grade? I totally bypassed that. Did we give him an official grade here?
No, I wanted you to get your thoughts out there before we both give him a grade.
You know what? I'll give him a B, close to B plus. I mean, that's right where I'm at with Bendix. I mean, for a first year GM.
Fair enough. I think I'm going to be a little bit cheeky with it, and
Okay.
You know why I'm going to give him an 86?
Why is that?
That's what the Rays' total of wins was in 2022. So, hey, guess what, Pete Bendix? You can go home and give your parents the 86, and, well, maybe they're a little bit disappointed, but maybe they're okay with it. I don't know. You tell me, Pete. Yeah. I don't know how your parents graded you, but I don't know. An 86 to some parents is amazing. An 86 to some parents is go to your room because you're not touching any electronics for a while.
Yeah. I think they'd give him a 1,000,000% because he's a Major League Baseball GM, and I don't know how old he is, but I definitely don't think he's 40 years old. B as in 35. Bendix.
I think he's 35. Yeah.
Pretty
it's
amazing.
Unreal. Yeah.
And kind of a fun guy too. Interesting character when he's interviewed and doing the public speaking engagements. Don't miss your chance to save big on the only security system we recommend. To get 50% off any new SimpliSafe system at SimpliSafe.com/today. This is their biggest discount of the year, so don't wait. Actually, no, I messed up that. That is my bad on the website there. It's SimpliSafe.com/LockedOnMLB. Let me reiterate that. SimpliSafe.com/LockedOnMLB. Somebody's getting an F for the copy here. That's SimpliSafe.com/LockedOnMLB. There's no safe like SimpliSafe. All right. So that was Ty's question. We have another mailbag and voice memo question. This one from Kyle, I believe.
Yes, it is Kyle. Do you remember him, an email or something like that from him? I don't. I think this is
several months ago. I do remember him reaching out to us as a first timer. So this is his second time, but first time as a voice memo send in.
Cool. All right. Well, Kyle, let's listen to what you have to say.
Hey guys, this is Kyle Rodriguez calling from the Philly side of Pennsylvania, actually, and just real quick with everything you guys were saying about the Philadelphia fans. It obviously, being a Rays fan, it was hurt that we weren't there, but it was still a lot of fun to be able to watch the games with my friends from the area, from over here, and kind of rooting alongside for the Phillies. Obviously, didn't work out, but that's all right. My question for you guys real quick is, obviously, I am coming around to the idea of getting a big name back, spending a little bit of money. Obviously, we need it. But also looking back at like this last year's crop of free agents, I feel like a lot of batters underperformed after getting a big payday. So I guess my question for you guys was, kind of like what would be kind of the limits, kind of like the max that you would want to shell out for like somebody like an Abreu or anybody else of that nature. So thanks, guys. Can't wait to hear.
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question and a tough question too. I'll just put this out there. The Rays have, as of late, been burned to some extent with their veteran bats that they've either acquired through trade or signed as free agents, whatever it may be. Hunter Renfroe, Yoshi Tsutsugo, Jose Martinez. We can argue back and forth about the impact, maybe expected more out of the likes of David Peralta and Nelson Cruz. What I can find is out of all those guys, most of them outside of Yoshi, of course, international player, but a lot of national leaguers, West Coast type players. So maybe it's not just a dollar figure, but finding a guy who has some familiarity with the AL East and the American League in general, and finding some more comfortability factor. And then once you have that fit going and figuring out the dollar figure, because they've, for one reason or another, have not had that sort of luck seemingly as they've had on the pitching side of things as compared to, veteran hitter types.
No, I agree. You might have some shock of like the past free agent signings. Let's speak about financially. The Rays, we've said this before. They have 19 arbitration eligible guys. Not all of them are going to be tendered a contract. I'm looking at you, Ji-Man Choi, and your expected $4.5 million. That's not happening. Ryan Yarbrough with $4.2 million. That possibly is not going to happen. But overall, if you look at the 19 guys and their expected earnings, it'll be $42 million. Okay. Then you also look at the 2023 payroll that is going to happen no matter what. The Wander Francos of the world, the Tyler Glasnows, the Manny Margaux, the Kevin Kiermaier buyouts, the Brooks Raley, Brandon Lowe contracts. You're looking at around 27 mil guaranteed. So if you're looking at 27 mil guaranteed and you're putting out 42 on top of that, 42 plus 27, 9, so 69. Very nice. So that's what you are working with. Now, the question is, how much are you willing? What would be the maximum expenditure? The Rays in 2019 put $15 million per year. So a 30 million contract for 2 years for Charlie Morton. Mm-hmm. All I'm asking as a Rays fan that knows the limits of this team is just, can you get me a Charlie Morton guy that bats? What I'm saying is a veteran that's been there, done that is able to muster a 2-year, $30 million contract. Who is that? Is it a Michael Brantley? Is it a Jose Abreu? Is it a Jock Peterson? Someone that's been there, done that. Oh, that's all I want. I want a Charlie Morton 2019. Who, by the way, Charlie Morton became a third-place Cy Young Award winner with the Rays. I mean, third guy, a third in the race for the Cy Young. So I know asking for a third-place MVP award is going to be a lot, and it's going to cost more than 2 years, $30 million. But something relative to that, if the Rays can do it on the pitching side with Charlie Morton 3 years ago. Can Pete Bendix want to maybe increase his review from an 86 into maybe a 94 and get us that Charlie Morton contract for a hitter, a veteran guy that probably is asking for 2-year 40, 2-year 35, 2-year 38, something around that range, I think is what we want as a Rays fandom, and what could potentially give you that production that we certainly need and offensively.
Question: what would you rather have? You have the option of, and I think somewhere around that Charlie Morton like contract for a free agent bat. I think that's probably what we're talking about and honing in on. Or if you want to get really funky with it, you just bank on multiple 1-year reclaims or try to do that, whether it's off injury or age, whatever it may be. But Would you rather the Rays do a 3-year, $50 million deal for Jose Abreu, 3-year, $50 million deal for JD Martinez for one guy? Or instead of that, okay, we're not going to give all that money to one JD Martinez or one Jose Abreu or one Michael Brantley. And I don't even know if Brantley would command that much, quite frankly. But instead of that, we give 2 years, 20, 1 year, 10, however it works out for two players, like a Josh Bell and a Michael Conforto, like a Trey Mancini or a Brandon Drury, a Evan Longoria and a Mitch Haniger. So 2 players for the price of one, or one of those. We know that the Rays aren't shopping for Aaron Judge. We know that they're not shopping for Carlos Correa. We know that they're not shopping for Trey Turner. But there's those guys kind of the in the middle guys, those mid-tier free agents, and then a little bit below that mid-tier. So it's about figuring out, what do you go? Are we trying to take multiple bites of the apple and say, hey, you got 2 shots are better than one? Or you go for that one quasi big fish, although it's not as big as Judge, Correa, or Turner. It would be JD Martinez or Jose Abreu or Michael Brantley.
I would feel like the Rays would hedge their bets. You know, they would diversify their portfolio, people.
Yeah.
You're welcome for that tip. Diversify your portfolio. I think that's what they would do. You know, that's more the Rays way. But I just kind of want them to try something different. Can you just imagine what this organization would have looked like if the Minnesota Twins don't beat the Rays with Nelson Cruz for a couple more mils?
Yeah.
A couple millions made Nelson Cruz go to the Twins in 2018, 2019, 2020, when the Rays could have had him, because they undershot him for $2 million. And then when they got him, he was, on his way down. Unfortunately, you can never tell when that is going to happen. So if they do go for a Brantley and Abreu, a guy that's been there, done that, yeah, it could backfire. It could be the year that, nope, this guy doesn't have it anymore. That you never know. But that's why maybe a year plus a mutual option would work out. I guess, again, depending on the market of the team. If everybody's willing to give Jose Abreu, Michael Brantley type of players 2 years guaranteed, then you're not going to be playing on that pool very, very long. But I want a proven guy. Like, I don't want more hedging bets of like, well, this guy, because also the Rays have a problem with the 40-man roster crunch as it is, protecting Rule 5 guys with 60-day IL guys. Then you have to also increase the offense somehow. We've talked about that in episodes before. And future episodes as well. Like, you already have a problem with space, and it seems like this is a never-ending issue with the Rays because of their deep farm system, that you always will have a 40-man problem. So hedging your bets does seem like the Rays way, but isn't it counterintuitive when you don't have that much space and you're now putting in 2 guys in that 40-man? Maybe that makes them think, you know what? Maybe we do go for that one person instead of the 2. But I don't know, man.
I don't think the Rays are going to get in a bidding war for a JD Martinez or a Jose Abreu or a Michael Brantley.
No, I don't think so either, which is unfortunate in some aspect, because don't you want the Rays to finally win a damn bidding? Like, just for like once? Can they once win a bidding war? I mean, okay, they won the Brooks Raley one. Cool. Like, yeah. All right.
They'll win a bidding war that you wouldn't expect and that nobody was in a bidding war for necessarily.
Exactly.
It's that all that talk and discussion makes me think that, again, the Rays have a roster crunch issue, as they will just about each and every year, that it might have to be package a couple prospects and try to land, don't quote me on this, but like a Sean Murphy type or something like that. Not saying that it would be him, but somebody who's, an established veteran, that, hey, we're looking for a guy that can give us, 260 batting average with, 15 to 18 home runs. Whoever that is, that can be had for a prospect, however the Rays can work it out to where they clear some 40-man space. And then maybe you go after, okay, you've traded for that veteran to plug in your order. And then maybe you go out and, not saying they get the Martinez or the Brantley or the Abreu, but say, hey, we'll do a 1-year flyer on Trey Mancini with an option and see how it works out.
I mean, yeah, you could package some guys. Not even has to be, not only Rule 5 eligible guys, but I can see sell high Harold Ramirez. Like, let's clear some space with Harold, and maybe guys that are going into arbitration. I don't know. Let's see. Look here, Ryan Yarbrough. For example, does a team need some lefty arm that can give you arms and is never hurt? Well, you can package Ryan Yarbrough, Harold Ramirez, and a shiny prospect or a shinier prospect, not the shiniest, and maybe get that bat. I mean, I don't know how many. I mean, that doesn't really sound appetizing from a third-party perspective to get those guys, honestly.
Yeah, but again, what the Rays do offensively, is it ever really all that appetizing? Like,
no. So that's what I'm saying.
About it in that context, yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, you got to get the guy, get the one guy. Like, this is why I put the Charlie Morton thing. Like, you were able to get Charlie Morton, who then proceeded to give you a third place runner-up in the Cy Young race in 2019. So is there no chance that you can do the same thing with a hitter? Like,
yeah,
how is that not possible? How has it not been done yet? Like, I know bad luck and all right, whatever, but like, I hope that that's the mentality in that Rays front office this year is, let's go get that Charlie Morton offensively.
Yeah.
A guy who can just put up numbers.
At least a power hitting first baseman to replace G-Man Choi. I feel like that would be the simple move right there. But again, the Rays are probably also banking on the idea that Brandon Lowe coming back fully healthy, Wander Franco coming back fully healthy, development and progression of Josh Lowe. I think they're banking on their guys that are already in-house for the most part too. So, which brings us to our next question. Last one of this episode from Brian Stark, not a voice memo, but a good question nonetheless. And yeah, we mentioned him, Brandon Lowe. Brian says, barring injury, what kind of year are you expecting from B. Lowe? It's difficult to really know, as he has only had one full season. Is it crazy to expect a 250, 340, 500 line with 30 home runs, 90 RBI, 90 runs, and 5 stolen bases? Again, being realistic, will he play closer to 100 games or 150 games?
Brian, if he does that in 2023, everybody would get Brandon Lowe's tattoos on their forehead.
Yeah.
Like, that's best case scenario out of a best case scenario out of a best case scenario. I'm not putting a lot of faith in Brandon Lowe in 2023, not because he doesn't have the juice. It's just the dude didn't play in 2022. Like, how are we going to put those expectations out there? That sounds a lot like in 2020, the offseason to the 2021 season, everybody thinking that Randy Arozarena was going to hit 50 home runs. There were Rays fans actually thinking this. No, I think what my expectations are for Brandon Lowe, just be a 3-WAR player. If you're a 3-WAR player, you post 120 games, you hit 20 bombs, that's good enough. I don't, the slash line be whatever it is, but if you're a 3-WAR player, you give me 20 bombs, you're there more than 120 games, that's a success. I think your line is a little bit high on all of those marks, to be quite frank. I don't know if you agree with me, Kevin.
No, I agree. I think that as far as home runs and power numbers goes, I would think of Randy 2022, Isaac Paredes 2022. And yeah, we can't that 30 home runs and 150 games, that's like the 1%er outcome there with Brandon Lowe. And I think that I would not be surprised in Ulises if he gets off to a shaky, slow start, considering all the time that he missed, and he needs just rep after rep after rep to get into a groove and get comfortable. And then who knows, maybe, I mean, God forbid he gets hurt again. And another thing that, this might be a question for the Rays is what to do with him positionally. Do you move him to first base? And I know you don't like this, but move him to the corner outfield? I don't think that necessarily would happen, but do you move him off of second base or try to
Please
give
do.
him more? Yeah, try. Yeah.
Please,
and if you do,
keep him
how
healthy.
does that,
Keep
how
him
does that
healthy.
yeah. How does
You
that
wanna-
impact him? Does it, is he more comfortable in playing first base and that allows him to focus more on his hitting, or is he more uncomfortable initially in that role as he tries to fine tune that aspect of the position and get into a situation where he works that to his best? We don't know that, but I don't think we are banking on 2021 numbers from Brandon Lowe. So, probably not an all-star either this upcoming season. I would just expect solid, not spectacular production from Brandon Lowe.
Agreed. And yes, I've banged this drum for 2 seasons now. Move him to first already. I don't care if he's not 6 feet. Move him to first. You want pop at first base? Yeah, Brandon Lowe gives you pop at first base. And then you have second base where you can kind of just you do the Isaac Paredes, do the Vidal Brujans that you want to try out. The Taylor Walls, like make that the revolving. Jonathan Aranda, make that the revolving door in second base.
Yeah.
But first base, give it to Brandon Lowe. Besides, Brandon Lowe is not a Gold Glover, for God's sakes. People pretend that he is. He's not. He's at best average. At best. There you go.
Yes, fair enough. All right. Thank you for making the Locked On Rays podcast your very first listen every day. Now make your second listen the Locked On Sports Today podcast. That is also free and available on every single platform. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and we will talk to you tomorrow.